for this event, and we will run through everything we have here within the specific time frame. We don't have any more time to waste. So just before I invite Dr. Folusho on stage, we just know why we are here. We're going to be talking about CSDD, which I call Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence. We're going to be looking at it on two areas, or from two fronts. We're going to look at the implication on GRC, and we're also going to look at the implication of AI. You know, 5-10 years ago, when they talk about AI, I was sharing a story of how I was watching a manufacturing company on CS, and they were into packaging, and the section their product and packaging it was done by bots, you know, and you won't believe human intervention has been completely eliminated. And so there's a threat of AI. We should not deceive ourselves. There's a threat out there that AI is coming to displace human resources in the foreseeable future. But then that's not what we're going to be talking about when it comes to AI here. We're not delving into the technological technicalities, but we're going to be talking about the focus on governance, risk, and compliance, and also the implication of AI in terms of financial crime prevention. So once again, I welcome everyone. Thank you for coming. For those of you that traveled far and wide, you're welcome. We appreciate your presence. And then for those that had to travel down, you know, Lagos is divided into two, mainland and island. For those that had to travel down from island to mainland, you're welcome. Thank you very much. And those that moved within island, you're also welcome. Thank you. And for those who will be joining us online later, you're also welcome. Thank you very much. And to our guests also on the way, the participants, we tell you welcome in advance. So thank you very much. I think we should give ourselves a round of applause. Please, can we increase the volume of that, please? Thank you very much. So without wasting time, I would want to invite Dr. Folusho Amusa, who is the founder of the Morgans, for his opening address. Please, can we give him a round of applause?
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Apologies for the lateness in time. I think from what my Honorable Moshekwe did mention about the Nigerian time is a real things of a concern for us. But we're going to be moving very, very quick above that, and we'll just carry on with things. Okay, great. Welcome to the third edition of a summit on the GRC and FINCRIME Financial Prevention Summit this year. This is going to be our third year. For us here at the Morgans, this initiative is very intentional for us. It's a vision for us to make sure that things that we do within here in Nigeria is also something that's obtainable anywhere in the world. And by so doing, we look at this here team, and we try as much as we can to get people or intellectuals that have industry experience that the general public can benefit from, that could help them to transform their way of doing things within the governance, risk management, and compliance, and financial crime prevention where they work, and help to bring some level of decency, okay, and help to bring some level of a change that we can hold accountable anywhere in the world. And we look at individuals that can help us to educate our audience today and provide information that will help them to get better at things that they do, which is why today we've come up with a number of individuals. They are industry experts, professionals, people that knows what they are doing. I will tell you, we've done our checks on them. We know very well they are people of caliber, people that have got what it takes to advise us, to tell us what the future holds, to tell us what we could be doing within our business to improve things, to get things better. In this space of governance, risk, and compliance in Nigeria, there is no doubt things have changed for the last 3 years. Okay, things have really changed. Okay, things have changed. We've seen how the regulatory have responded to a number of discussions and forums where we've put out there our position and how we want them to help us to get things the right way to help businesses to thrive and also help customers to experience the kind of treating customer fairly and getting information that can help them to advance their cause in their businesses. Corporate sustainability due diligence for us is key. That's why we have our speakers here to help us to bring some knowledge to it. Please, as you are here today, take notes at place of where they work and how we can imbibe that into our business operational ways of doing things. Okay, so let's take notes. Let's take the advices, take their experiences, and take it away, and also go and impact that where we work. And I believe at the end of the summit, we'll have something positive to take away, and yeah, something to take away, and look forward to a wonderful 2024. For me, I want the speakers to help us to tell us what is it coming 2014. Okay, what do we have in the horizon scanning for 2014? What should we be looking at within the compliance and risk space? AI came more very laudable things that is doing within that space. Over 3 million people will be trained on artificial intelligence. And by now, today, this morning, over 1 million people have training on AI. So we are going to be exporting talents within this field in GRC in Nigeria. I'm seeing the next 5 years to be a very, very remarkable change happening to the landscape of regulatory risk compliance and financial crime prevention, anti-money laundering activities in Nigeria, and also putting in some laudable structures or framework that could help organizations to make a better decision. We want compliance to be, or risk person to be at the board, okay, meetings. We want to be at that board where the decision has been made. We want organizations, board executive to be allocating some percentage of their budgets, okay, to the compliance and risks. It's not when things are happening, that is when they start to call compliance. Oh, what are you going to do about it? Okay, but when you're making the decisions, where are your compliance? Where are your risk people? Okay, it's not when the food is ready, that's when you now see us. No, when you are making the recipe, okay, we want compliance, we want the risks, we want financial crime experts to be able to give some direction and tell us before anything impacts us. All right, so once again, you're welcome to the 2023 on the corporate due diligence, a new era of accountability with implication on the artificial intelligence on GRC and FINCRIME prevention in Nigeria. Once again, welcome, and I look forward to an exciting time from our speakers and from all of you. God bless you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor. That was a fantastic. Please, can we give him a round of applause for that? Thank you very much. He has said it all. And more importantly, what are we looking ahead for? This is 2023 is already waving goodbye and riding off to the sunset. In a couple of days, we welcome 2024. So beyond all the conversations that is going to go on, we also want to look deep into the future, you know, and there's, like he said, 2023 came like a shock. And there's hardly anybody that is not using ChatGPT now. Anything you want to do now, you just go to ChatGPT. I don't even stress myself again. If I want to write any reports, if I'm looking for anything, I just go on ChatGPT and I just download it. In fact, down to the extent of how to write an email, I just go to ChatGPT, I construct it. So, to be honest, AI has come to stay and it has changed the way we're doing things. But overall, we're also looking into how it's affecting the GRC and is also affecting FCP. So thank you very much for that beautiful address, Dr. Folusha. So we move on to the next agenda, which it's going to be taken by the first keynote speaker, Mrs. Fumilayo Ekundayo. That is her picture, the MD CEO at STL Trustees Limited. However, she's unavoidably absent, but she's ably represented by the managing director, ACS managing director, STL Asset Management Limited, Mr. Ahmed Olaiton Banu, who is a CFA, as a chartered financial analyst. Please, can we give him a round of applause for that? And he's also an ACS. So Mr. Ahmed Banu, please, can we come forward where we'll have your first keynote speak? Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause as he comes to the podium.
Good morning, everybody. I was just introduced. My name is Ahmed Banu. I'm the managing director of Estel Asset Management, and today I'll be speaking on artificial intelligence, the new era of accountability with the implication of artificial intelligence and the impact on that on governance, risk, and compliance. Can you permit me a few seconds while I have a slide? Okay. Thank you very much. So today we'll be looking at the new era of accountability with the implication of artificial intelligence on GRC and financial crime prevention. As the moderator had said, GRC is governance, risk, and compliance. Please, can we move on to the next slide? Okay. I have 15 minutes to deliver this, and I just thought about it to say, it's good for me to summarize this. So what are we trying to speak about here? Artificial intelligence. Which is the new, I would say Elon Musk actually, some few days ago actually said that by 2050, everything would be driven by artificial intelligence. So if you jump on board now, you are in the right path to being in the next frontier 30, 40, 50 years from now. But today we will dissect this from two different angles. The second angle is governance, risk, and compliance. So artificial intelligence and governance, risk, and compliance. We all know what artificial intelligence is. Automation, efficiency, effectiveness, driving processes, driven by robots, basically. But for me, how do I see that and how do I bring that to GRC? Is to say, how is the way the world is going now, how does that, and how do you start to look at that from a governance and risk and compliance perspective? And that's basically what this whole slide is about. Like we said, AI is the ability of a digital computer or a computer-controlled robot to perform tasks commonly associated with intelligent beings. So if you think about it again, there's a big threat, which is what the moderator has said before. The threat is that in no time, if you align with what Elon Musk has said, very soon, our jobs and the way we live will be driven by robots. And as governance, risk, and compliance practitioners, we need to start being right at the thick of it, because how would you govern a robot? How would you identify the risks that are attributable to functions that are driven by robots? How do you make the robot compliant with regulations and laid out standards? But there's something I always say is that, why are we scared of robots? These robots are created by who? By human beings. So it is what the robots do, or rather it's what the human beings want the robots to do that the robots would do. So if a robot is at risk of not being compliant, then it means that the person that created that robot did not create that robot to be compliant. So when we think about what we are trying to talk about today, which is how can we as practitioners govern, identify risks, and make these robots compliant, then we need to go back to ourselves as the creators of these robots to determine why did we create these robots. So if someone says that the robots will take our jobs, then it means that the person that created that robot had created that robot to do what? To take your job. So the source is the person that creates it. The robot don't drop from the sky and become what? Human beings, or start acting like human beings. It is we, the human beings, that created these robots. And I'll give a real life experience. So currently, I manage an asset management business. And while I was seated there, I was talking about robots. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to automate the operational processes within the organization. And in the real sense of it, it's going to take people's jobs. Because we want the business to be efficient. We want the business to be effective. We want a situation where someone calls us now and says, I want my money that I have invested. We want to ensure that that money gets to the person right now. And the only way we can achieve that is we eliminate all the human interferences. But still, I still tell my colleagues one thing, which is what? There has to still be a human being monitoring what the robot is doing. So, which leads me to the next part. Sorry, slides, please. Leads me to the next part of my discussion to say, how can we achieve governance, risk, and compliance of these robots? Next slide. We look at it from three different, which talks about the accountability. How can we make these robots accountable to us? And I've mentioned one of it today. Even though you deploy the robots, you still need human beings to what? To monitor those robots. To ensure that the robots are doing what they have to do. And if you guys remember Computer Science 101, garbage in, garbage out. It is what you create and put into the robots is what the robots are going to do. So do not create your robots, or do you not implement artificial intelligence and expect that what? It is time for us to go to what? To sleep. Sorry, next slide. So we looked at accountability from 8 different angles. Next slide, please. I'm sure the moderator will be looking at me now and be saying, what's going on? We're almost running out of time. So I'll run through these slides. Sorry, the last slide, please. Last slide. Previous slide. Previous slide. Thank you. Let's focus on this. So we looked at accountability, artificial intelligence. How can you make artificial intelligence accountable? We looked at it from 8 different angles. First is what? Continuous improvement and learning. Everybody in this room, we have to continue to learn. We have to continue to understand what is going on. It is when we understand that we can what? We can ensure that the AIs are what? Accountable. Like the moderator said, ChatGPT. A guy sat in his room and sat down and said, see, I can create a robot that is better than Google. There's nothing in this world that ChatGPT doesn't get for you. However, I have an interesting information for us. I am a CFA charter holder, and we have successfully identified that ChatGPT cannot pass level 3 exams. So, that is what we're trying to say. We need to keep learning. As long as we learn and do not give over-reliance on this artificial intelligence, we are smarter than the AIs. The AIs were created by human beings. Sorry, back to the slide, please. Now, number 2, sensitization and awareness. we need to continue to make ourselves aware of all these new developments. Self-driving cars, GTP. A lot of them will continue to come up. I saw one recently, and it said, create your website in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Just tell the system what you want your website to look like. I need to create a website for you. I created a website in 6 months. That was created by a human being. 6 months. But the website is telling me you can do it in 5 minutes. So we just need to continue to create, sensitize and create that awareness about the fact that, and that's why I appreciate what the Morgans are doing today. This is part of sensitization and awareness of the fact that AI is taking over. Back to the slide, please. The next is regulatory framework. Yes, I saw this and I asked a question. While I was creating this, I told myself, who is regulating AI? I am a finance expert. If I am not regulated by the SEC, or regulated by the CBN, or regulated by NICOM, regulated by CENCOM, who is regulating AI? Who is telling us on how robots should behave? Who is limiting the extent to what we are trying to digitize? I don't think it exists. So we need to start thinking about that regulatory framework, because that's where compliance comes into play. So now I can decide to do any robot I like. Create any robot I like. All I need to do is do coding. There's a risk. You said something earlier. Dr. Bosun Tijani is, trying to make people AI compliant. Who is when the 3,000 people come out, who is regulating them? There could be a mad scientist there that will create the next, I don't know. Don't let me say what is in my mind. But the point is, who is regulating them? 2, input of ethical principles in AI. Remember what I said earlier. We are the ones creating this robot. What ethical principles are we putting into the creation of the robot? Everything we want to get is what? Efficiency. That's the reason. That's what created this whole idea of robots. We want to be efficient. We want to make the process faster. We want to make the process. You see what I said earlier? I want the situation when you come for your fund, you get your fund instantly. This is when we started this business. It was 5 days. As I'm speaking to you, it's 24 hours. But we are working towards instant. And what is helping us do that is AI. The next, which is what I mentioned earlier, monitoring and evaluating AI outcomes. Do not implement robots and go to sleep. Somebody still needs to monitor what they are doing. As you always say, gap analysis. I'm sure everybody in this room understands what gap analysis is. Actual versus what versus budget. This is, thank you very much, actual versus expected. This is what we expect it to do. This is what it is doing. Do we want to allow it to continue doing what it is doing? The answer to that is no. We need to align it to what's expected. And the only way you can achieve that is through monitoring. Very essential. Emphasize challenges, yes. So, let me give a bit of a story. There's something called, in the financial market, there's something called flash crash. I don't know if you guys have heard that before. So it happened in, I can't remember the exact date, but the American market lost close to 40% in a second. That's what we call a flash crash. And when there was an audit by the regulators to identify what caused the flash crash, can you all guess what caused it? Artificial intelligence. So it means that you are looking at the stock price, and all of a sudden, the stock price goes from $100 to $2. And before you could realize what is going, it has gone back to $100. So anybody that was in the market at that point in time would have what? Would have panicked. So if you had clicked sell at that point in time, lost all your money. And the audit was done, you realized that it was artificial intelligence, AI, algorithms. Those are emphasized challenges. When things happen, how are you prepared? And I like the fact that Doctor had mentioned earlier to say that, you know, we should be there before the food is cooked. Yes. Yes. So be part of the recipe. What I'm saying today is GRC has to be part of that development of artificial intelligence, because challenges would occur. And as a risk expert, you should have been able to do your what? Scenario analysis or simulation to identify when these situations happen, what are we going to do? Then collaboration. Still emphasizing what I've said already. We all have to collaborate. It is not just for the tech guys. It is for all of us. The tech guys, the GRC players, the financial players, the regulators, everybody has to be in the mix. Even the government, everybody has to be in the mix. Because 2050, we can't run away from it. We are already on that path. That path can't change. Each time I keep asking myself, what would... So I see movies, apologies, and I realize that most times the movies already tell us the future. So most movies you see now, you see a lot of technology. It means that very soon the world is going to get there. Because the people that dream and paint these pictures in our minds are already painting that picture. So that path nothing, we are going there already. That's the path, that's the destination. So each time I ask myself one question, what can take us away from that destination? That can take us back to the old age. Maybe something can just happen and we're back to Stone Age. It can't. So the path. So as GLC players, we need to start getting